Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. We are in a carrier. Terry, are you drunk? No, I wish I was. Yes, I'm reviewing a carrier. Why am I reviewing a carrier? Well, because it's publicly known and that I'm not particularly good at playing carriers, but I figured if there's a new kind of carrier coming around that is, certainly different, then I might as well give it a stab. And this is the very first Soviet carrier that we have in the game. This is the Chkalov, named after Valery Chkalov, who was a famous Soviet test pilot and unfortunately died in an accident while he was trying to land a plane. He was flying way higher than he should have been flying, and that wasn't actually cleared for these kind of tests yet. This is, according to the game, a Project 71B carrier. Now, the Project 71B, at least on paper, actually did exist. So the Soviets did have some plans around creating an aircraft carrier. Well, actually, they had plans around creating two aircraft carriers because the Soviets had a particular problem with their navy in such that they had multiple oceans to deal with, similar to the problems that the Americans had, but exacerbated by the fact that you don't have a convenient canal to shuffle them between the two oceans. So they had the Pacific Fleet and the Atlantic Fleet, which and technically the Black Sea Fleet, which means they had to shuffle them around somewhat. So two carriers were planned, and these were supposed to be light carriers. So the initial designs have kind of dithered between 100mm and 130mm guns, and somewhere around 45 planes maybe. The whole eventually, and Stalin himself has never been a fan of these things, which is also one reason why they never happened, except besides the actual war happening. So Kuznetsov's been pushing for them, Stalin was against it. But these were supposed to be, repurposed Chapayev class hulls with a flight deck on top of it. And that would have been the Project 71, which never really happened. So in-game, we have a new class of carrier. Now, the premium lines are not necessarily always the same as tech tray lines. Are they going to be Soviet carriers? Maybe. We've got them on PC, obviously, so there might be a Soviet carrier line coming at some point here as well. Just because the premium is set up in a certain way doesn't necessarily mean that the tech tray ships are going to be set up in the same way as well. But let's have a very brief look at what this carrier is and what this carrier isn't. Now, again, I am not very good at carriers, so this isn't a review. This is my completely unqualified opinion as to what someone who's not very good at carriers will make of this carrier. Let's begin by doing the obvious thing and comparing the Chkalov to the Shokaku, which is the Japanese Tier 8 tech tree carrier. There's a bunch of others around, but we just want to get a little bit of an idea. The ship's specialty. This is something we're going to have to talk about a little bit first. So if a plane squadron gets destroyed, one of yours, the next one gets only half the preparation punishment. What in the world does that mean? Well, to my very limited understanding of aircraft carriers, if the more planes you lose, the longer it takes to get your squadron back up in the air, which makes sense. If you lose the whole squadron, you get a penalty because you have to bring one up from the hangar decks instead of just rearming and refueling the ones that are already coming back in. That penalty is getting reduced. How much that penalty is, I have no clue. Someone who actually knows carriers can figure that out. But what this effectively means is that, well, you're somewhat incentivized to maybe not bring back a single plane. Well, I say incentivized. It might also be a little bit of the sort of worn out human wave cliche that we're seeing occasionally when it comes to Soviet contexts, but that's what this thing has special. So if you lose all your planes, you get them back quicker than you would on another. You get them back twice as fast as on another carrier. Now, what I don't know is if that penalty is, uniform across all carrier lines, or if some carriers have a different penalty. Or again, not a carrier player, but that's what that thing is. So let's have a quick look and compare to the Shokaku. First of all, we see a very much light cruiser hull. The damage reduction of 6% means this thing really doesn't like to be shot at. Now, to be fair, the Shokaku doesn't like to be shot at either, but this thing likes to get even less shot at than the Shokaku. She's not particularly fast, but then again, you're in a carrier. you don't tend to sail around, even though I tried, because she actually does get reasonably nice 130mm main guns. These are your typical off-the-shelf Soviet destroyer guns. The problem with these things is why they have an 8-kilometer range, and my first thought was, haha, I can be a light cruiser with the occasional airplanes on top. That's not what this thing is. Because the dispersion is absolutely dreadful on these guns, and so is the penetration on the HE as well. So haven't had an awful lot of success with it. Maybe decent against destroyers at close range. So if you're planning to close in on one of these things, be aware that it's probably got more guns than you and of the same kind. So these are not bad guns, but this is not a sort of German, kind of carrier. Let's get to the planes. And this is where it gets really, really interesting, because we have plenty of them. There's something slightly wrong with these planes. They do prepare reasonably quickly, but they seem to be on the weak side. We do get a lot of them in return, so we've got 2 squadrons of 4 dive bombers each, and we've got 32 in storage overall, but the hit points and damage on these things is a bit lackluster, really, so be aware of that. Torpedo bombers. We've got 48 of the buggers. 48 of them. And they are 6 plane squadrons. So really big squadrons. And again, they get prepared reasonably quickly, but their hit points and torpedo damage are very measly, to be honest. We have 10 fighters, which is on the short side. We do get 1 squadron of 5. So you effectively, after you lose your fighters, you get 1 refill, and then that's it. The fighters are abysmal. They are not good at all. The damage output and the hit points are very low. The AA is slightly better than on the Shokaku, but you're in tier 8, you're not going to be shooting down. You're not going to be able to defend yourself with that against an enemy carrier. And the concealment is pretty good. So what gives with these fighters? I had a quick look, at least at the Su-2, and that wasn't a terrible plane. It was one of the earlier variants, but it's not like a biplane or anything. So let's compare the Chkalov to the Hosho. Terry, why are you comparing a tier 8 carrier to a tier 4 carrier? Bear with me. Pun intended. There is method to my madness. So if we're looking at the planes, ignore all the rest of it, but look at the dive bombers. Yep, these are tier 4 dive bombers. In fact, these are actually worse than tier 4 dive bombers. It's only that we don't have any tier 3 carriers in the game. Look at the torpedo bombers. Yep. These are tier 4 torpedo bombers. In fact, they're worse than Japanese tier 4 torpedo bombers. These things are rubbish. You get an awful lot of them, but you're effectively bringing tier 4 planes to a tier 8 gunfight. Or plane fight, really. Which makes sense in the... And now you start to see why the whole... if your squadron dies, you get it back rather quickly sort of thing comes in. Because it will die, because they're tier 4 planes. And this is tier 8. Which means you have to contest with things like Cleveland's or Seattle's, and fighter planes that are actually capable of doing something, unlike your own. So, yeah. Well then, moving on, you get the choice between making your torpedo bombers a little bit better, or just generally throwing more planes at the wall and hope that some of them stick, which is what I'm going with here, because that seems to be the whole shtick of this thing. If we're looking at the historical camouflage, which, given that this is a premium ship, I assume that if people are willing to spend money on a premium, they're also willing to throw more money behind it into a camouflage. Gives you more hit points, which is good. She's got actually a relatively decent hit point pool. Gives you more bomb damage, but it's 4% of tier 4 bomb damage, so it's not an awful lot. Same with the torpedoes, and it gives you better surface detection. So do you need this camouflage? Not necessarily. You can probably just deal with a standard camouflage. It makes your planes do a little bit more damage, but that doesn't make them tier 5 planes. So, well, that's what that is. You get the option to get yourself more dive bombers at the cost of some torpedo bombers. You get the option of getting more torpedo bombers at the cost of some dive bombers. You get the option of getting a little bit more of everything, which might not be a terrible choice to take, actually. You get the option of making your fighters a bit better, which is a terrible option to take because A, they're complete garbage, and B, you don't have an awful lot of them, so they die anyway. And you get the option of throwing more planes at the wall and hope that some of them stick, which is what I'm going to go with here, because that's literally what this thing seems to be all about. So we are about maximizing the amount of planes we can throw at the enemy. If some of them come back, if they don't, we've got more where those came from. Propulsion and concealment is the other two. You could kind of think of doing doing the defense modification for a slight AA build, but she's not going to make a huge difference, and I'd prefer not to be spotted by other things and shot at, because I'm in a light cruiser hull. This is such a Bayev with a flight deck. Commander-wise, what can we get ourselves? We can get our planes back faster. This is actually a somewhat questionable skill at this point. I'm just wondering, because while this is generally not a bad thing to have, if they come back, okay. If they don't, okay. Not a great loss here. There's not an awful lot else that we can do. I am still taking the dogfight specialist. Actually, in hindsight, I probably should have taken the full prepared, because don't take this one. Take the fully prepared, because your fighters are so garbage. They are not going to be doing anything, so there's no need in buffing them. And the other skills are relatively self-explanatory, and there are not an awful lot of skills that you really need here. The Dauntless Dive obviously would be nice to have at some point, but then again, your planes are tier 4 planes, so they're not gonna do an awful lot. It's not about the individual plane doing anything, it's about just throwing waves and waves of them at the enemy. So, where does that leave us with? My first thought was, oh dear, I have a fighter wing, 2 dive bomber wings, and 2 torpedo wings to manage. This is going to go horribly wrong. And I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, it did go horribly wrong in many occasions, but there's a bit of an asterisk. There's a bit of a yes but sort of thing there. Because, well, you have 2 fighter wings, but the fighters are crap. So all you can do with them is kind of scout and then just let them die. And then do the same with the next wing. Because they'll, distract enemy things a little bit. Scare them off. Maybe just the fact that there is a fighter, even though it can't do anything, gets the enemy carrier player to, fly around a little bit longer. The torpedo bombers, given that there are 6 of them in each wing, means that you get a very wide torpedo spread. Which means that even if you're complete garbage at dropping torpedoes at people, like I am, you have a fair chance to actually hit something with it. Which is, kind of like a nice pat on the shoulder, like, look, you landed some torpedoes on target. Not that they're doing an awful lot of damage, because these are, I don't know, worse than tier 4 torpedoes, but we should probably look at the German tier 4 carrier, actually. Let's do that very quickly, because if might remember that the German torpedoes weren't that great either, but I might misremember this. So let's have a very, very brief look and see if the Germans have better torpedo bombers. Yep, the Germans have better torpedo bombers at tier 4 than this thing at tier 8. Okay, theory confirmed. Let's get back to the Soviets. There we go. So yeah, this is actually not terrible. I had fun. Okay, I'm going to show you, and then we'll talk about the whole thing a little bit more. So if you're just tuning in and you skipped all the review bits because you're just going to the battles, mandatory trigger warning. I am not good at playing carriers. I am very much not qualified in reviewing the ship or giving you my opinion about it. So what you're about to see is someone who's not very good at carriers playing a carrier. If you don't like this sort of thing, then this might not be the video for you. If you get triggered by people doing dumb stuff in carriers, then this might not be the video for you. You have been warned. Okay, so you're still around? Awesome. Let's go. We are top tier. We're playing base capture and hourglass. It's a 4v4. So we're up against Shokaku, a Titan, a Nelson, and an Ognivoy. And a bunch of bots. So what do you do with this? Well, like I said, throw all the planes at the enemy. Don't expect an awful lot to happen, but you know, just be comforted in that you're making a slight impact on the battle, and every little bit counts, and eventually you wear them down. So the very first thing I'm going to do is, I have learned, I'm going to go scout, because this is literally the only thing that these fighters are useful for. So I'm going to send them over there and scout, and I'm going to start sending the dive bombers over to the other side. And then we'll maybe send some torpedo bombers over yonder and see if we can do something useful with them. As you can see, you've got a lot of planes. So somehow the Soviets have magically IKEA'd their planes into this light carrier, and I'm trying to use my fighters. The enemy fighters are, say, flying straight over. Okay. Well, I'm going to try and use my fighters here. If they get baited, fine. I mean, it's not that they can do anything anyway. Oh, we've shot a plane down. Well, that's because it flew over us. Okay, torpedo bombers are coming in. We've redirected the dive bombers onto something. So let's just try and drop that Amagi. I mean, it's a bot, so it's not going to Damakon the Flood. And we'll try to use our fighters to shoot something down. But yeah, not very good at it. Okay, we've got 12 torpedo hits in. We've done some damage. And I think we have... I don't know where the Ognivoy is, but I have scouted the flanks and I haven't seen anything. So, okay. Ashitaka is going... our AA has shot down another plane, and my torpedo bombers are actually mostly coming back. So, that's nice. Let's move forward a little bit and get our dive bombers out again. There's the Titan. Let's drop the Titan. It's a German ship, doesn't have an awful lot of AA. I mean, there's a New Orleans, but it's a bot. So, actually, no, there's a Nelson. That's got even less AA. So, that Amagi is very dead. So, let's help the Ashitaka against that Nelson who's coming down the flank here, while we're moving slightly away from the capture circle. And again, trying to use my fighters to some effect, but, you know, I do have torpedo bombers to worry about. So, Nelson, have some torpedoes. I think that might be a little bit more forward. Okay, there we go. It's a battleship. Even I can't miss one of these things. And plonk, 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 plonk. 6 torpedoes on target. There comes the second wing. Okay, I need to readjust that a little bit. Fortunately, Nelson has no AA, so Nelson can't even shoot down tier 4 planes. Okay, fighters, back fighters. Are we... okay, we've got 2 torpedoes. You see, that's what I mean, right? Even if you complete crap at dropping torpedoes at something, you can still get some torpedoes on target. Okay, I'm in the corner here, but that Titan is coming relatively close. He has Benson problems, though. Benson, do you know that Titan... okay, he does not know that Titan has torpedoes. Nope, Benson has survived. Okay, I'm still trying to shoot down some Japanese planes, but it hasn't happened. Nope, Benson has not survived, but Benson has managed to severely damage the Titan. So I'm going to go, okay, Titan is relatively close. My dive bombers should be able to finish that thing off, right? Let's help the Ashitaka against the who's in a brawl with the Nelson. And then we sent the other torpedo bombers over there to deal with the Titan, and then we sent these torpedo bombers over here to deal with the Nelson. Although the Ashitaka might be... and I think the Ashitaka's got this. Okay, let's see if we can drop the Ognivoy, because there's the Ognivoy. And that Seaton is still alive. Okay, so the Fenyang has finished off the Nelson. Well done. And the Ognivo has finished up the Ashitaka, because, you know, just because because destroyers are spotted. Okay, that Seaton is still alive. More dive bombers on the Seaton. And that means I haven't been paying attention, and that means the Ognivoy is taking 1 torpedo. And I'm being airdropped now by the enemy carrier, which is annoying, and that Seaton is still alive. Is he in gun range? He's not in gun range, but I'm spotted, which is not good. Fortunately, he's behind an island. Unfortunately, I'm sort of stuck here. So I'm gonna have to try and move away from here. While being airdropped by the enemy carrier, which is not something I can do an awful lot about, because I have no fighters that can do anything. I still have some fighters, I mean, but I have taken, I don't know what happened with these torpedoes there. Oh, I've shot some down, but that Seaton is going to be an issue. So let's see if we can kill him with torpedoes, right? This thing's got no hit points, right? This should be relatively easy at this point, just to kill him with torpedoes. So, Seaton, are you going to die? So here I have some torpedo bombers. Seaton's relatively quick. Let's try to also kill the New Orleans. It's a bot, so if we can set some fires, it's not going to be able to Damacon. Okay, I need to aim a little bit more ahead. Unfortunately, there come some enemy fighters, so that's a problem because my torpedo bombers are just dying. But I've got 4 torpedoes out still. 2 torpedoes. No, that's Seaton still alive. Bugger that. Okay, run away. And the New Orleans is still alive as well, so unfortunately I have not managed to actually... Okay, another torpedo drop against the Seaton. This time the fighters are not around, so he should be taking most of these torpedoes. And that's a flood, and he's still alive, and he damacons the flood. You see, that's the problem with this thing, because you have tier 4 planes, and they do no damage. This is awkward, to say the least. So let's drop some more torpedo bombers. Maybe I can get some more dive bombers. Maybe we can kill the New Orleans still. Hopefully the torpedo... Oh, no, I'm dead. The Shokaku has taken me out with his torpedo bombers. And maybe I can still kill the Seaton with the torpedo bombers if he hasn't... he's been paying attention, so... yeah, that's gonna miss. He hasn't been stopping in the capture circle, which is what I was kind of hoping for, but that's gonna miss. The New Orleans is dead, but the Seaton has survived. Now, could I have played this better? Of course I could have. I told you I'm crap at carriers. I should have just focused everything on the Seaton. So if you're coming into one of these games, then, I mean, not that it made a difference, because, you know, I had no way of actually killing Shokaku or anything. Not that it makes a difference. But when you're coming in, knowing how to play carriers, and you just have to estimate that you have tier 4 airplanes. They do very little damage. I mean, I've done 60,000 points of damage. It's not terrible for me, honestly. For being in a carrier, I'm okay with that. And yeah, Fenyang, well played, but there's absolutely no way we're going to survive this. So, yeah, GG's. I have shot down 16 planes. That wasn't my fighters. That was my AA. I mean, maybe the fighters shot down 1 or 2, but that was mostly my AA doing the job there. So, yeah. You're not going to do an awful lot of damage. And you have to send more planes than you would usually assume that you need to send to kill off a thing that is on relatively low hit points. Or, you know, like, learn how to aim your torpedo bombers. But, like I told you, I come second in the team, right? I did better than the Ashitaka. The next battle, we're playing again against Shokaku. I have not played an awful lot of battles. I've played like 4 or 5, but I haven't met, I don't know, that Chinese thing, the new... what's it called? I can't remember the name. The tier 8 Saipan. I haven't met an Indomitable or an Enterprise or any of these things. I haven't even met any good fighters yet. So I'm just up against Shokakus. But we're fighting Shokaku, Vladivostok, Prince Heinrich, a Belfast, and a Jervis in a frozen shelter epicenter mode. So off we go once more, and we try to do our best to not let the team down and help as much as we can. Now, once again, I am in a carrier, and I'm not good at carriers, so we'll see how much that goes wrong. First of all, I've got many squadrons to manage, so I'm going to send the fighters out straight. And then I'm going to send the dive bombers out over yonderish, and we'll see what the Shokaku is doing and see if we can scare them off. Because you see, I'm recording this before release. Haha. Which means the Shokaku doesn't know what I'm capable of. Which means he sees fighters. He assumes, you know, these might be good fighters. So he's like, okay, maybe I need to be careful there. So you see that? He's running away from me. The thing is, my fighters couldn't hurt him even if they tried. Okay. Dive bombers. Have we spotted anything? We have spotted the Jervis. Let's try to drop some bombs on the Jervis and see if that makes any kind of difference. 1 drop, 2 bomb hits. 2 drops, more bomb hits. We have scratched the paint on the Jervis. Okay, so that doesn't work. Let's try to send the torpedo bombers out and see if I can do something about the Jervis. Because the Jervis is their only destroyer. If I can take out the Jervis, then we might be able to take the center cup. Now, I know you're here somewhere, so let's fly over with the torpedo bombers. Okay, there he is. Let's aim the torpedo bombers. Jervis, you're about to run into an island. Let's see if we can get these torpedoes on target. Should have dropped a little bit further, but okay, well, 3 torpedoes on target. The next drop is going to be on target if he's not moving out of the way. Well, who can we drop? There's a Vladivostok. He needs some shooting. Okay, again, I mean, I've got 4 torpedoes on target. Okay, maybe we should drop the Jervis again to make sure he's dead. Let's get some more dive bombers against the Jervis. And I think I need to start moving at this point because I'm sitting way too far back. And the Jervis is still alive despite my best efforts. But hopefully the dive bombers can do something. Dive bombers are going out, and I'm trying to use my fighters to shoot something down, you know, as one does, but they are not very good at it. And we have dropped the bombs on the Jervis, and we have not scored a single bomb hit, which means the Jervis is still alive, but I have bigger problems, because there's a Prince Heinrich, and that thing's coming where I was actually going to go. So, oops, and that thing's full health. I mean, it's not in the... Oh, my fighters shot something down. Well done, fighters. It's not in the capture circles, but we're holding the center cup. Jervis is probably on low enough hit points that he's not a huge problem at this point, which means I need to focus on this guy. Not because he's in any way threatening my team, but because he is well threatening me potentially. So well, we've got a flood. Okay, we've got more torpedo bombers coming in. We've got some dive bombers coming in. He's not damaconing the flood, so he's either smart and has done this before. And I mean, he is sailing around on the outside of the map. Flood and fire. Okay, that he damacons. So this might be a little bit early. I was hoping he would damacon the first flood, and I was trying to time. But yeah, we've got all the things on target, but we haven't been doing enough damage or getting a perma flood or a perma fire. Am I in gun range of that thing? Maybe not yet. I need to reverse a little bit, get out of there. Okay, my fighters are dead, like I said. Just ignore those things. They're useless anyway. We are still holding the middle ring and the center cup, but we're 1 kill down at this point. And I am trying to kill that Prince Heinrich there. I think one of my destroyers has realized. Yep, he's coming under fire from the Prince Heinrich. So let's give him some support. Drop some more torpedo bombers on that thing. His damacon should still be on cooldown, so if I can get... No flood. Okay, I'm spotted, so I need to run away. Unfortunately, he's out of gun range. We set a fire. And I think that Prince Heinrich is gonna die to those destroyer torpedoes. So, yeah, there he is. He's not... Actually, the Champagne takes him out. Okay. Unfortunately... We have lost the center cup. The Vladivostok sitting in there. What is my destroyer doing? Okay, the Xianyang has taken down the bot Nagato, but I've got a Z-39 sitting around here on the outside. Why are you not Why am I even asking? Okay, move forward the ship, turn the whole thing around, and then let's make ourselves useful. Because we are not holding the cup. Oh, dang it. It was 1 second too late. I wasn't paying attention. Vladivostok was actually backing up, so let's try that again. There's a Belfast, which needs killing. Champagne, can you kill that thing? That was a valiant effort. Okay, so let's get... I have got the dive bombers locked on, but I think the Belfast is almost dead. So let's try to torpedo the... Yeah, do I need to kill the Belfast? Let's fly the dive bomber. Nah, Champagne killed him. It's okay, he's dead. Yep, there, that's his corpse. No, don't bomb that. Okay, let's see if we can... Unfortunately, the Shokaku's moved forward. and giving AA support to, and his fighters are there. So yeah, my torpedo bombers are not making it through. I should probably attack with the torpedo bombers from the other side, so they can at least drop their torpedoes before they die, because after they die, it's not happening. So yeah, my plane's all dead, and that is just how things go. Where am I going? Why am I going this way? I need to go into the rings. I need to get. I have too many things to do. It's complicated. Why is my view all the way at the map edge? I don't know. I've got more torpedo bombers coming in. I need to redirect those. Which ones were they? These ones. Okay, now I'm flying over the Shukaku again, which is not great. I really should be doing this from the other side. But even without the fighters, I get 3 torpedoes, 2 of which hit. No flood, obviously, and they do no damage. So let's try to send it from the other side. Oh, there's the Jervis. Okay, lock them onto the Jervis. Lock the dive bombers onto the Jervis. I just need 1 bomb hit. Even those things cannot fail to kill him. I've still got 1 destroyer. Why are you not capping the center ring? You. Okay, I'll move forward and try to do it myself if I can. I don't have time to manage my carrier. I've got planes to manage. Okay, that should work. Against the Vladivostok. Hey, 6 torpedo hits, but and yes, we killed the Jervis. Okay, so we're behind on points. We need that center cup. Where's my destroyer? Oh, he's tried to torpedo the Vladivostok. Who cares about capture circles? Who needs capture circles anyway? Why? Oh, why do I have to deal with this? Okay, I'm not going to kill the Vladivostok. Very unlikely, unless the Champagne gets a good hit in. So, Champagne, can you try to get a good hit in on the Vladivostok? Unfortunately, my torpedo bombers all get shot down all the time. Because, you know, fighters and stuff. No? Champagne? No? No hits on the Vladi? And the Xianyang is dead. Yeah. And my dive bombers seem to have missed the Vladivostok. Oh, well, I tried, alright? I tried. So, yeah. This thing. I did say in the onset of the video that I'm not qualified to give you an opinion if this is a good ship or not, and I am not. What I can, however, tell you is if you don't know how to play carriers and you play this carrier, are you going to have fun? And the answer is surprisingly yes. Why is that? Because this thing is relatively forgiving. You don't need to, if you don't know how to manage your fighters, it's not a problem. Your fighters are garbage. They're not doing anything anyway. You can like pull enemy. You don't know how to bait enemy fighters? Fine. It's not important. Your fighters are going to be dead halfway through the battle anyway. You're not very good at aiming your torpedoes. Not a big problem. You've got 6 planes in this wing, and you're sending a sweeping wide wall of skill. It's not going to do an awful lot of damage, but you're going to hit something. And you can pat yourself on the shoulder and say, okay, I haven't completely missed my torpedo drop. That's for me, that's a win. You know, I've hit some torpedoes on something. That's awesome. That's a good thing, right? Oh no, all my planes have died because I haven't been paying attention, and I have been flying them over enemy AA. It's not a problem. You get another wing very, very quickly, and you can just try again. So you see what I mean, right? You're not doing an awful lot of damage, but you don't get punished hard for messing up. You be given the opportunity to mess up again very rapidly. So for somebody who's not very good at carriers, this is actually a fun ship. It's not a great ship. It's not like a fire and forget thing like the Indomitable, like stupid carrier that even I can be successful in. But it's fun, and as you can see, I can do reasonably well in it. For an experienced carrier player, which I am not, so I can't give you that opinion, but I can guess that experienced carrier players may be somewhat frustrated with this thing because of well, I don't know, because it doesn't seem to be rewarding. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't reward high skill play, I would say. It's probably a similar thing like with the Indomitable. It doesn't necessarily reward high skill play because it's more geared towards try, mess up, and try again. So, you know, maybe if you always wanted to play a Soviet carrier, then that might be the ship for you. I don't know. Anyway, nobody expected a qualified answer from me. You haven't gotten any, but I hope I did manage to entertain you somewhat, and all of this without a single drop of alcohol, because it's Saturday morning. So there we are. That's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.